In motorsports, talent is not enough to make it to the big leagues. The journey from an amateur karting driver to becoming an F1 driver can be a very costly affair. Financials do also play a very big role in Formula 1, as money often decides who gets a seat and who doesn't. Today we're unpacking how much money is required to advance from karting all the way to Formula 1. Welcome to F1 Unpacked.
Now, before we begin, a quick disclaimer that costs can vary a lot from country to country, and the prices used in this video are based on estimates. The prices will be given in euros. Let's begin the video.
Karting. Karting is often described as the entry point in motorsports. However, it is more accurate to say that karting is the first financial killer, separating the fortunate and the less fortunate racing talents. A competitive karting season includes the costs for the following: the kart, a van used for transportation and functioning like a workshop, spare parts for the kart, tires, insurance, track fees, club memberships, karting licenses and race entries, fuel, tools, driver suits and safety gear, a mechanic or a team. However, most parents perform the mechanic duties until a certain level is reached. A full national championship campaign, including test days at each circuit, are estimated to have a starting budget at no less than 30 to 40,000 euros. And that amount increases significantly when we take a look at the international mini-karting campaigns for kids aged 6 to 12 years old. A season costs roughly 60 to 120,000 euros. Those costs cover a team seat with mechanical support and an engine program, tires and consumables, testing days, travel and accommodation, damages and spare parts. When the driver eventually turns 12 years old, he or she progresses to the international junior campaigns, also known as the OKJ. OKJ is for kids aged 12 to 14, and a season roughly costs between 120 and 250,000 euros. The increase in money spendage is due to racing being more intense, the tire usage and the engine support demands rise as the regulations become more advanced. More training sessions are also added to stay competitive. Among the world champions for this karting series, we find Charles Leclerc and Alexander Albon, while George Russell, Alexander Albon and Norris have won the European edition. After OKJ, the drivers reach KF1 and the costs increase even further. KF1 is for children aged 15 and up, and a full season costs between 150 and 300,000 euros. And some of the drivers to win the European edition of the KF1 Championship are Lewis Hamilton, Alexander Albon, Max Verstappen, Kimi Antonelli and Lando Norris. The KF1 Championship is usually the final step before single-seater cars. So let's calculate the total cost so far. To keep the math consistent, I'm going to use the midpoint of each category's estimated range as the average season cost. We will assume that a driver starts at age 6 and spends 2 seasons racing nationally, then 4 seasons in the international mini category. Next, the driver moves into OKJ for 3 seasons at 185,000 euros per season. After that, we'll assume 1 season in KF1 costing 225,000 euros. Putting it all together, the total cost of this 10-year elite karting pathway comes to 1,210,000 euros. Formula 4. F4 is the first major step into single-seater Formula cars. It's designed as a training ground for young drivers using cost-controlled cars with somewhat similar performance, so the focus is on learning about the racecraft, tire management and different car setups. There are 5 versions of Formula 4, one in the UK, one in France, one in Spain, one in Italy and one in the US. We will start off by taking a look at F4 in the UK. A seat at the back of the pack costs approximately 119 to 179,000 euros, while a seat in the front costs approximately 357,000 euros. You need to be in the front to advance to F3, so we will use the 357,000 going forwards. Heading on to France, a full season in French F4 with the FFSA Academy is listed at 174.6 thousand euros. For this you get a package consisting of the car, maintenance and use during races, participation fees and training days. In Spanish F4 you also get a full package for a 21 race season. The cost ranges from 200 to 250,000 euros, and we will again move on with the highest of the two. A full season in Italian F4 with a place with a team at the back of the pack will cost you approximately 300,000 euros, while a seat with a mid-range team will cost you around 350,000 euros. For a seat at a top team such as Prema or Van Amersfoort Racing will cost you approximately 400,000 euros for a season. In F4 in the United States, a season will cost you approximately 212,000 euros. We are going to assume one successful season in each formula. The average price for one season in F4 will be approximately 280,000 euros, and only the best performers of each F4 series gets a chance to race in F3. Formula 3 launched in 2019. F3 is a big step up from F4 as you now race around the world on the same tracks as they do in F2 and F1. An FIA F3 seat is roughly 1 million euros per season. There are very rare cases where drivers go directly from Formula 4 to Formula 2 and thus skip F3. This was last done by Kimi Antonelli, who currently drives for Mercedes in F1. However, this is highly unusual. On the current grid, 7 drivers have driven in the current F3 format and 8 more drivers have participated in the old F3 format. A fun fact is that only Piastri, Bortoleto, Ocon, Stroll and Norris have managed to win Formula 3 out of all the 15 drivers on the current grid who have participated in the series. Formula 2. Formula 2 races on F1 weekend venues, often with a short practice session, intense qualifying and 2 races, one of which is with a reverse grid for the 10 best drivers from qualifying. The Formula 1 teams keep a close eye on the standout drivers from F2. The 2026 F1 grid consists of 4 F2 winners, as Leclerc won in 2017, Russell in 2018, Piastri in 2021 and Bortoleto in 2024. An FIA F2 season typically costs around 2 to 3 million euros overall, and drivers often need to bring roughly 1.5 to 2 million euros to the table to secure a seat. Now, if you did well in F2, you might get offered one of the 22 F1 seats. So let's take a look at the total costs to get here. We spent 1,210,000 euros on karting, 282,320 on F4, 1 million on F3 and 2 million on F2. That leaves us with a total cost of 4,492,320 euros. Another way to get into F1 is to make your father pay $80 million to get you a seat and then later buy an entire team so they can't fire you. If you liked the video, please consider liking and subscribing as it helps out the channel massively. Thanks for watching, until next time.